Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Premodern at the request of Patreon subscriber Brad, and this is Standstill. This is a deck that makes me very happy to look at. It's also a deck that before I had started playing Premodern at all, I would look at this and be like, yeah, obviously if I played this format, I would play this. And since having experience with the format, I'm a little less excited than I was at first, but still, it is dope as hell. It's a top deck you can play in the format, and if you like grindy control play patterns, which you know I do, this is the thing you can do. The goal of this deck is to run your opponent out of cards they can play the game with anymore, and then off you go. Win with whatever's left. The card Standstill is the namesake. Whenever a player casts a spell, sacrifice this enchantment. If you do, each of that player's opponent draws 3 cards. You try to play this, and either they break it right away and you get a draw 3, and cards are worth a lot in this format, or they don't break it right away, and then you get to work with Fairy Conclave, Mishra's Factory, winning the game with those. And with enough pressure from your lands, they'll eventually have to break it, then you refill, and you counter and kill all their stuff, and then play another one. Decree of Justice also works under Standstill, cycling for 2 and a white. When you cycle this, you may pay X. If you do, make X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. And then Swords to Plowshares, Counterspell, Factor Fiction, just a who's who of bangers from the era. And Brad has included Morphling, which I'm excited about. Normally, there's not actual creatures in the Standstill main deck, and sometimes if you want to make a meta call, you can main deck an Exalted Angel or 2, which every build of this has in the sideboard. Morphling, I'm just excited to see it. I have no idea if it's good. Brad's decks usually come with a little bit of spice when he sends stuff into the channel. And heck yeah, let's play with Morphling, why not? That's the plan. I suspect this league will go for a very long time, and I hope it's a good time. Let's do it. Through the Decades Collectibles is running a Premodern 5K in Louisville, Kentucky on June 6, 2026. Entry includes a commemorative playmat, and the $5,000 prize pool is guaranteed. Spruce up your Psychotogs with magic artist Ed Beer Jr., who will be on site for signings. Side events include vintage throwback drafts and a Pauper Win-A-Duel. Click the melee.gg link in the video description or go to ttdcollectibles.com to pre-register. I'm on the play in round 1, and one thing that's very important about this deck is hitting land drops. I'm going to mulligan. Here we go. Much happier with this. I'm going to keep and ram this Decree of Justice straight into my deck. That's something you want way later. That is not a turn 1, 2, 3, 4, even 5 problem. Keep all the lands and the Standstill. That's the game. Opponent has mull to 5, but the games are going to go so long that they will get out of it. You know, mull to 5 is not actually that impressive for me here. A mountain. A Mog Fanatic. Okay. Now this opponent's probably just going to have to break my Standstill on their turn and game on. I'm going to play Mishra's Factory because that is a great blocker. That'll stabilize against the Mog Fanatic. It blocks as a 3/3. All right, now it doesn't. All right, oh, okay. It's goblins. All right. It's goblins with Mog Fanatic, sure. Okay. Well, my hand's kind of bad, actually. But it can become good quickly. The bonus factory. Okay, I'm going to get Flooded Strand in here because that casts Counterspell the best. That Wasteland keeps my factory from stabilizing this entire board by itself. I'm really glad they didn't have turn 1 Lackey. I did not have much of a plan for that. Another Pile Driver. Okay, I'm pretty sure I don't want to play against 2 of these. This lets them attack for 4 this turn. But they could have just not attacked this turn. Like, if I let this Pile Driver resolve, they attack with these guys, I could block. I could trade Pile Driver for Mishra's Factory, or eat the Mog Fanatic. But then they have 2 Pile Drivers, and if they just don't attack and pass the turn, then Factory's going to have a really hard time stabilizing in the future. They've taken some damage. Their hand is all spells, missing land drops. Humility, Wrath of God, Swords to Plowshares. These are the things I'm looking for. Coastal Tower, not what I'm looking for. Add another factory because stopping the beats from the existing goblins is going to have to be part of my plan. And now I can trade off Pile Driver without... like, they could still wasteland me, but I can get ahead of it. Here's the attack. I want to block with my factory that's been in play already. If they spend this turn wastelanding me, and then I have counterspell up for second main, they're they are hurting for lands here, is part of my calculation. Wastelanding me here is not free and easy. Okay, it looks like they probably have a Gem Palm Incinerator, which is why I activated this one, because this one can tap to buff itself, and it will survive this, or it will cost them their Mog Fanatic to kill it, which is mostly the same as getting wastelanded or me blocking the Mog Fanatic. Okay, yeah, I'm actually fine with this. And I could have tapped in a way that could have been 4/4, but then I'm not holding up Counterspell. All right, they are going all in on this Goblin Pile Driver. That's now a 1/2. But they're not getting punished for it, so carry on. Another Wasteland. Bring it. All right, that one's going to be a problem. And now I'm officially out of stuff to do. Impulse, okay. That leaves me with some options. What would I do in the main phase? I would play Standstill if I find it here. All right, I'm going to Impulse now. I did find a Standstill. Though that is going to be... I'm on a 9-turn clock. They do have a Wasteland face up. Oh, this is blue when it activates, right? It is. So that can't block Pile Driver anyway. I'd actually be all in on 2 factories, one of which I'm about to put to the bottom if I take the Standstill. That hurts. Okay, I will take the Impulse. I got different problems to solve now. Wasteland is one of the better weapons in general versus the Landstill deck. I'm pretty scared of this turn, though. If they go land, Ringleader, Reload, that's horrific for me. Even War Chief, like anything with haste, is pretty annoying here. Okay, they are wastelanding me in combat, which is actually the perfect time for them to do it for me. All right, I'll grab the Swords to Plowshares. I trust in that more than in the Mana Leak. That Wasteland takes me off double white, which I could have played around, but I didn't draw Wrath of God, so it's fine. Weird to do that in combat, though. It takes a lot of worry out of me. I go to 8. Another Pile Driver. Okay. Seal of Cleansing. Not great. Uh-oh. And a number 3. Okay. I'll plow one of these Pile Drivers before it gets any bigger or grows the other one. Can't block. Protection from blue. Too good. Goblin Sharpshooter. That one's a little spooky. Ripping off these Seal of Cleansings like a champ. Might as well put it in play, I guess. This can be an attack for 4 when it's got 1 card left in hand. But attacking with Sharpshooter does leave it tapped, unless opponent has something to do with that. All right, fair enough. That was a good draw. All right, I'm going to pass the turn. Can we stabilize at 3? My opponent just has so many good draws left in their deck. I plow this Pile Driver. Sharpshooter is stuck until a creature dies is when that untaps. Okay, they could cycle Gem Palm, kill their own Pile Driver, which untaps Sharpshooter. Moderately clever. If the Sharpshooter attacks, I'm blocking it. That would make no sense, though. Goblin Tinkerer. All right, destroy target artifact. That is Mishra's Factory. Dust Bowl. All right, I am at 1. Just slamming the... Oh, Ringleader. I'm dead. Sure. Am I dead? Yes. All right. Yep. That was a big old flood out. These Seal of Cleansings not for this matchup, obviously. Hydroblast, Powder Keg, Exalted Angel, Circle of Protection, Red. Lots of sideboard for this. Yeah, that one impulse where I had to take the second impulse instead of the Standstill, that was my chance to reload. That didn't really work out. Okay, Seal of Cleansing. I love boarding out most of the cards I saw in a match. That means he really did a good job in game 1. Teferi's Response is basically tailor-made to destroy Rishadan Port. I don't think I need to do all that. Where am I going to find 3 more cuts versus this deck? In Morphling would have been a huge deal for most of that game. It doesn't stop the Pile Driver, but it does stop all the things that help the Pile Driver. Mana Leak might be mid. And do I need 3 Decree of Justice? That's pretty bad. It doesn't help me stabilize, which is step 1. It does help me win. But winning is the last priority in a deck like this. All right, I will keep. I've got basic lands, the Standstill. If my opponent has turn 1 Lackey, I'm in a bit of trouble. But anything else, the Circle of Protection can get in front of. Opponent kept 7. Bad news, team. So I'm looking for a Plow or Hydroblast here. or Wrath of God can clean it up later if I'm not dead by turn 4. Circle of Protection can buy me a lot of time too. I'm going to get hit by the Lackey if I don't rip it out right now. But there's no Muxus or anything like that in this format. The goblins that come in are occasionally modest, or generally modest. All right. Your Nut Draw versus my best sideboard card. Who will win? Yeah, the worst one is, of course, Siege Gang Commander. A Ringleader refilling their hand is not great either. Here it comes. Moment of truth. War Chief. All right. Going wide around Circle of Protection is the way to get through it. Ooh. That is a way for me to turn the corner one day. I mostly just have to hide behind this circle for now, though. Attacking with everything. I'm just going to make it all blank. Lackey, File Driver, War Chief, and have I turned the corner? Ooh, they had no additional plays, no land, no spell. That's weird. They've got 4 mana to spend, or 3 mana plus the War Chief help, and they just had nothing? What's in that hand? I just realized Harold McNeil did the art to the Tempest Circle of Protection red. I did not see that coming. I think I'm going to play Standstill this turn. Pyroblast would be a card that checks the box of not a goblin and not a land, and what might be sitting in their hand over there. What is my cost if they Pyroblast Standstill? I mean, Pyroblast is out of their hand, and I can only circle 2 goblins for the turn. I could just circle 4 goblins and sit on this forever. I'm going to go for the Standstill. I think flushing out Pyroblast, if they have that here, is fine. Yeah. Oh, I committed to take 2 damage from that line. My deck's full of blue cards. Schadenport. Ugh. Alright, Pile Driver with haste. Now I have to decide whether I want to take a Giant Crush from Pile Driver or let Lackey through. Well, now I'm just going to let Lackey through, because there's 2 of them, and there's only 1 card in their hand. Then playing a second Lackey actually made that turn easy for me. Okay, protecting myself from the Pile Drivers, taking the other 4, and whatever happens with Lackey happens. Ringleader's the horrifying one, because that can put goblins in their hand for the second trigger. Or Matron does the same thing. Okay, no goblins is the answer. Nary a goblin at all. Another Circle of Protection. I would love to get this Exalted Angel down, but the double Pile Driver makes that not really tenable. I haven't seen a splash color or indications of a splash color. Usually Wooded Foothills or a Carplucent Forest would have shown up. That's how they answer enchantments in this deck. But they can also just mash through them, which is what's happening now. Oh, Anarchy. All right, well, they did find an answer to Circle of Protection. I could counterspell this, or I could just top their board right now and then play my other one. Yeah, I think I'm going to use the second one to play through this. And I am going to save damage by stopping the War Chief rather than the Lackey. They didn't have a Goblin last turn. So let's see if they drew one right now. Lands, Swords to Plowshares, and Wrath of God are the cards I'm most excited to draw here. Lands just let me keep going, keep developing while the Circle of Protection holds the fort. Okay, I take 1. They didn't have a Goblin. Wrath of God off the top. Oh my god. Oh my Wrath of God. Put all these shits in the graveyard, please. Okay. Well, let's find out if they have a follow-up to this. Were they sandbagging a banger? A Pile Driver, okay. Got that under control. If I draw a land here, I can play Exalted Angel face down. Heck yeah. And protect it with Counterspell. There we go. Starting to turn the corner. I am not scared of Goblin Pile Driver at 13 life with Counterspell backing myself up. I can take 1 or even 3 if necessary. This is the turn to start turning the corner. Goblin Matron. I don't think so. I don't think these decks play Shock. My creature's pretty safe here. Impulse. Do I want to Impulse? I would like to hit a land drop. Ooh, Swords to Plowshares, Counterspell, Land, and another Exalted Angel. All of these are pretty good. I think I want the land, though. Okay, do I start just killing? I think I do. Or no. If I wait 1 turn, I can be completely stable behind Circle of Protection red and be killing my opponent. War Chief, all right. You want to offer up your boys? I didn't think so. Surprise, it was an Exalted Angel. My opponent knew that already. I'm joking. Okay, I am attacking and playing Circle of Protection red this turn. Those are happening. Am I also going to Dust Bowl my opponent? Because this Rashad Port's kind of the only thing they got going on. There are 4-drops in the deck they care about. Porting me is slowing me down a little bit, but it's slowing them down more. All right, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Circle of Protection red, backing up the Exalted Angel. I guess we've seen Anarchy, so I probably should actually deal with that Rashad Port when I can. Anarchy would be a nightmare right now. Uh-oh. Oh, Siege Gang Commander. That one's annoying, but not as bad. Okay, yeah. Siege Gang Commander, no attack. You love to see it. End step. I can make some soldiers here. Do I think that's worth doing? I'm going to fetch for a plane so they can't port me anymore. And I actually like doing this now. Oh God, this is a separate cost. This gives me some action and draws a card. Now I don't necessarily have to Circle of Protection everything. All right, this is the turn. I turn the corner. Siege Gang Commander's out of here. That's the one that could threaten my Exalted Angel. I'm going to destroy Rashadenport, sacking one of my planes. And then I'm going to stand still. Walls are up, team. And you're dying. All right, 20 to 14. Gem Palm Incinerator would be messed up here. They actually do have enough to flip the script on Angel. All right, Ringleader. That was probably their second best draw after Incinerator. If Incinerator's even still in the deck. They might have like one to Matron for. Okay. Well, let's party. Wasteland, land, Anarchy to the bottom. So there's 2 Anarchies in the deck at least. And here's why I made soldiers. Yeah, you can't even attack. I'm happy to trade off with that Goblin Pile Driver. Just take a little damage, whatever. Yeah, love that. Another Exalted Angel, another Mishra's Factory. Attack with this Angel. And I could develop another Angel here. Playing it face up would let me cop 2 creatures. Playing it face down would give me options, what I want to do with my life. If there is a one of... Okay, I think what I want to do here is actually just play Powder Keg. Because if there is a one of Gem Palm Incinerator still in the deck, this can wipe out all their tokens. It wipes out my tokens too. But theirs are probably more important than mine if their job here is to remove this Angel. I can also make 3 more tokens after bombing all the tokens. Matron resolves. Getting another Ringleader. It's trying to overwhelm me. Another Pile Driver, okay. And still unable to attack. Do I want 3 more soldiers in this end step right now? My opponent can't actually do anything. Yeah, I'll take them. Mana Leak. I am not going to tick up Powder Keg, because the point of this was to kill the tokens. Angel going in. I am going to play the other Angel this turn because I want to present lethal. I'm going to play it as the morph, leave my options open for how I'm going to spend mana this turn. I am going to rip Mana Leak off on this Ringleader. That was their whole big plan. They were mana short to pay for that. Cool. All right, sideboard cards. Showing up clutch. Anarchy is their counterplay. Yeah, I'm not trying to Meddling Mage Anarchy. I don't care about that. Teferi's Response. Do I want one of these in just to obliterate a Rashadenport? I'd probably cut Morphling to do that. All right, sorry, Morphling. That one just seems pretty clunky on the draw, especially when we know we're playing as Pyroblast. Okay, I am going to keep. I can answer a turn 1 Lackey. There is less mana in this hand than I'd normally like. And Decree of Justice, Fact of Fiction are late game things. Mog Fanatic. All right, hitting lands is great. Coastal Tower, get in. Pile Driver. I'd love to develop this tap land, but I think that having Mana Leak and Plow available here is pretty important. Well, the option between the two. It's not both. At Standstill, just waiting for its moment. Right, Wasteland, don't love it. Flow to blue. Plow Pile Driver in combat. Ooh, okay. Teferi's response, slow to arrive, but if my opponent plays Rashad board this turn, I'm going to be hyped. Wasteland I'm less hyped about. All right. Wasteland is not the one I wanted. Come on, deck. Important turn. Okay. I have something. I can literally do anything here. But I'm under pretty significant pressure. It's for a turn, and the Fanatic can pop at any time. Oof. It's falling apart, team. 4 basic mountains from the opponent. I get 2 more draw steps this game. It's not very many. Goblin Lackey playing around Mana Leak. Smart. They've learned. Now I have... That cuts a turn off the clock just from the effect it has on Goblin Pile Driver, and not to mention what might actually fall out of the Lackey. Okay. Do I play Powder Keg here? Yeah, I guess. Keg on 1 actually does matter. And now that Lackey's here, I don't have a lot of faith in Mana Leak. I can't crack this fetch land. If CJ and Commander's here, I'm just dead. Alright, GG's. Yeah, Wasteland, hell of a card. Wasteland is actually cool because it's pretty balanced in Premodern, which you might be surprised to learn if you don't play the format. Like, a lot of decks don't even play it. But in specifically this matchup where I need my lands to function as spells while my opponent doesn't have to pay mana for their stuff, it worked out really well for them. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I am on the play in round 2. I'll keep the hand. It's got land drops to make. There's no standstill, no card advantage, but I hope that will arrive at some point. Flooded Strand pass, opponent's on 7. A forest. Birds of Paradise. Okay. I am going to, as they say, bolt the bird, but I'm going to do it off the basic planes that I'm on my turn here. The second forest. Oh, these crazy land bin forests. Survival of the Fittest. That card's pretty good. I couldn't hold up Counterspell this turn anyway, or I would have thought about it, but I just don't have double blue. Okay, what is this survival going to do? There's a mountain. A good chance anger is going to be involved. Ooh, Tangle Wire. Hello. You don't say. That one's pretty nice. Should I cycle Decree of Justice just for a card here? I don't think I will. And I'm not going to fetch either. You can tap my Flooded Strand. It's fine. Mishra's Factory. And Coast is clear for whatever you want to do. Probably going to see a bunch of survivaling in the upkeep here, because they're going to have to tap some of those lands. Okay. Just still gaming. Sabo's Web. Jesus, they got me with the Flooded Strand. God damn it, Brian. Yeah, that was completely play-aroundable. I was not expecting that. You can call me a Premodern noob if you like. I own that, and I'm going to have to play this game with 1 less mana than I could have played with for basically free. That was tight. Wall of Roots dumped off the survival. Finding Anger, now their squad has haste. I had this experience when I played Goblins on the channel, where Goblins is just like very clearly one of the best decks in Premodern, which means everyone's ready for it. When you see things like main deck Sabo's Web in Premodern decks, which a lot of them have a couple copies of, it's for this deck. Like, I am a known good deck that people are perfectly happy to pre-board for. And I am eating poo on that right now. Opter Squadron, oh man. We got some sort of combo build. Enters with 3+1 counters on it. Remove a counter, make a 1/1. Sacrifice the Thopter, put a +1 counter on this. Okay, so it's like Pentavis, but smaller. And has flying. Goblin Welder. Well, this can weld immediately because it has haste. That probably won't happen until my end step. And I'm insanely cooked. Cool. All right. Nice deck, me. The Cursed Totem looks good against my opponent's deck. We saw Birds of Paradise and Goblin Welder at the very least. Hibernation could get survival, a resolve survival out of play, but I have Seal of Cleansing and Disenchant for that. Cleansing Meditation, that seems overkill just for survival. They are a red deck, but their red cards are like squee. I wonder if I'm supposed to bring in Hydroblast just for Welder. I feel like I'm not. I'm just bringing in Curse Totem. Yeah. Now that I'm better informed about what my opponent's doing, I can just sequence and prioritize things differently. It's not looking good for Morphling in this league. That's just so clearly a card that you can board out and not really miss it. Okay, I have Mana Leak here and Impulse. I guess I'll keep on that. Fairy Conclave is, of course, susceptible to Sabo's Web. Aquarian Ranger. All right, that gives me options. I'm not going to rip off Plow on this Aquarian Ranger. Okay, they're playing on one forest over there. That's good news for Mana Leak. Sabo's Web. Well, I obviously, as we've learned, can't play with that card in play. Plains, Mana Leak. Ranger Beats. Seal of Cleansing. Okay. I guess I'm gonna just float that fella in play. That's good against at least 3 permanents in their deck that we've seen. Still playing on that one forest. Sylvan Library. Well, I will be destroying that. But I don't have to do it right away. I can assess my options first. I'm gonna Impulse. Adakar Waste looks good. Play the Waste. I am gonna try to just collapse their whole engine here. They might just have a second land in hand, but if they do, it doesn't make sense that they've been bouncing a forest this whole game. Like, you could have just played your land. I think they drew that land this turn, because otherwise it's literally the same for no upside. Curse Totem. I'll start getting my hooks in here as well. Curse Totem and Powder Keg. I think I want Keg to sit at 1. I've seen Goblin Welder as something their deck has, and from 1 I could tick it up to 2 if they end up with a web. That also blows up my Curse Totem. I hope we don't end up there. There goes the Squadron. Powder Keg cannot kill survival. It gets artifacts and creatures specifically. You got a squee in your hand, but don't call me a squee hand. Counterspell. Okay. I'm doing my thing now. I might just make 1 soldier in this end step. There goes Squee. The Cardivan engine is online. Crows and Tusker. This is somebody who wants more lands. Cycling Squee. Llanowar Elves. See what I'm saying? I told you they didn't have more lands. You didn't believe me. So tutoring up Llanowar Elves into Cursed Totem is certainly an option. I am going to make 1 soldier. Mostly I just want more cards I can use. Mishra's Factory is in the game now. Alright, you want to race? You do not want to race. Yeah, just burning off that little Llanowar Elf. Cycling the Squee again. I might just keep grabbing 1-drops out of the deck to get bad draws out of the way. Yep. Birds of Paradise is fine. Shield Sphere, let's go. Alright. Yeah, they were about to discard a hand size. You might as well. Fact or fiction? Okay, I was going to start attacking this turn. Now I don't necessarily need to. And I can, though. It doesn't hurt me too bad. Alright, I'm going to attack with an Assembly Worker. And they can take 2, or put a counter on their Shield Sphere, or lose their Birds of Paradise. Any of those are fine outcomes for me. Uh-oh, land number 3. Crows and Tuskers online. Survivaling in their second main phase. Tusker's offline now. We're going to grab, like, an orangutan to blow up my Cursed Totem next turn and then do stuff. Wall of Roots, alright. I mean, that's another creature that doesn't work. But this could be setting up the monkey. Alright, big Fact or Fiction. I'm probably going to take the other Fact or Fiction pile, like, no matter where it goes. I mean, if it's 4-1, I'll take the 4. But if Fact or Fiction is with anything, I'm going to take the Fact or Fiction. Okay, pile to put in my hand, this one. The Morphling. Oh no, it can't fly. Nice Cursed Totem, me. Alright, well, I'm just going to chill with my handful of action. I do have 1 Graveyard Hate card in my deck. There is a Phyrexian Furnace that could get to work on that Squee if I find it. And they know I have a counterspell now. They don't know that I have 2. Another Pointless Bird. An opponent just having stuff in play is meaningful because we know they're a Tanglewire deck. Like, they could play Tanglewire, tap all these pointless creatures, and then rock out with their lands. Fact or Fiction in the end step. Do I want the lands here? Does this matter? What are we doing? Right, I'm going to take the spells and then Impulse in the end step. Yeah, Standstill. Who does that benefit? Degree of Justice, kind of a banger, though. No, I'm going to take the Standstill. I'm here to party. Here for a long time. Okay, do I want to Impulse before casting Standstill? Probably. I can still play Counterspell, and if I just find like a land here, or if I can blow up their Survival, that's pretty good. All right, I'll take Seal of Cleansing. Seal. Cleanse that Survival up out of here. Survive one more time. Getting a Wall of Roots. And Standstill. This does leave the shields down if they just like ram Sabo's Web this turn, but I do have enough mana plus Powder Keg, I could remove the web immediately. That actually might have just been sloppy. Like, I could have held up Counterspell this turn. They can't really do anything, and then play Standstill next. Yeah, I'm not playing patient enough here. There's the Tangle Wire. I get to draw 3. Tangle Wire comes in, all yours. Am I ready to Powder Keg? That takes away 3 permanents that my opponent can't tap for Tangle Wire. Alright, I actually am going to blow up ones here. It's been sitting there long enough. I gotta tap 4 things. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the Furnace. This exiles the bottom card of their graveyard, which is a funny place to attack a graveyard. Right, I'm going to play Conclave and Furnace and start donking that graveyard. I have Counterspell up here. Like, my opponent can tap the 2 creatures on the Tangle Wire and then play something like Web or Survival, one of their scary things. But Counterspell is online. I can exile Squee if I'm worried about it on a future turn. This says sacrifice this artifact, exile target card, draw a card. Right, it's Tusker time. That card's been in their hand for a very long time. It's turn 11 right now. Straight up Tusken it. Under the Tusken Sun. Basic Mountain. Goblin Welder. Alright, that still doesn't work. And I have a million ways to kill it. I have to tap 3 things. Curse Totem, Phyrexian Furnace, and I guess one of the Fairy Conclaves. I could play Morphling here and have a Counterspell. Is that important? No, because it's a 3/3 into the 0/5 and it can't gain flying. Just good deck building. Is it time for a Wrath of God? They'd have to tap 2 of their own lands. There's another Wall of Roots in hand. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to chill. Survival of the Fittest. That one's a Counterspell. I don't really have attacks here because Mishra's Factory can block. Quarian Ranger's fine. I'm just trying to get the most that I can out of these Wrath of Gods. I'll tap a Fairy Conclave instead of Furnace this time. Working on that graveyard is alright, and I'm not going to spend all my mana. Factor Fiction, pretty nice. Exile Sabo's Web from the graveyard. That actually does matter, because if they can clear my Curse Totem, they can flip Tangle Wire into Sabo's Web. And that's a nice one for them to not have around. I do only have 23 cards left in my deck. Gotta keep track of that. My opponent has 31. Right, there's the Wall of Roots we knew about. Tangle Wire is mostly off now because I can just tap Curse Totem for the remaining time this card's in play. I think I do want to fetch before I run out of fetchables. And I'll rip off a Factor Fiction. Deck's going to be down to 17 cards after this. Alright, Pyroblast, deal. Yeah, I'm not fighting over that. As Wrath of God is kind of burning a hole in my pocket, but I don't need to use it. It's probably about time to start attacking with Fairy Conclave. Now that we're out of the Tangle Wire. Here comes some giant spell into Mana Leak with Genesis. I mean, sure. Yeah, Mana Leaking that sounds pointless. I'm actually going to plow that and get it gone. Plow Genesis. Up lanes. Now I have enough to attack with Fairy Conclave and still do everything else I want to do. This Phyrexian Furnace this turn actually did clip the Thopter. That's a combo piece gone. Meaningful change in the game. Now it's going to be a long time before that hits anything important. Birds of Paradise, yep. Goblin Welder, you got it. Interesting. Did we draw a removal spell? What's the plan here? I'm going to block. I'm going to block Quarian Ranger. I don't think it matters very much. Seems like they're just trying to push damage somewhere. Winter Orb. Don't really want to play against that one. If they have a Pyroblast, that's actually pretty good. Okay, they don't. Use the Pyroblast 2 turns ago on something else. Nice. Okay. Cursed Totem, doing a lot there. That was nice. Saw a lot more of the deck. There are a lot of green permanents in this deck to hibernate. And Powder Keg was pretty huge there. Man, poor Morphling. I tried, fella. I really did. Do I want Keg or Hibernation? I have one slot open here. I don't think I'm bringing in the Hydroblast. Mana Link might be kind of stinky with as much creature mana as they have. And maybe I can get Keg and Hibernate in if I also cut one of the leaks. Here we go. Alrighty, I have mana that doesn't get webbed. I have Mana Leak, but they can get Survival down before then. Catching up won't be easy. I have no removal in my hand. But I am going to keep Forest, Bird. Still not a removal spell. Yuck. Yeah, well, there it is. Survival, and it's ready to activate. I'm not going to fetch here, because I actually do want to draw lands. They pass the turn, and now we gotta hang on until this survival stops working, or we can stop it somehow. I'm significantly more scared of just survival as card advantage engine than I am of whatever combo this is in their deck. Surviving the Squee away, Aquarian Ranger. I think I actually am going to leak this. That's a lot of mana here. If they're missing land drops, then the Ranger picking up a land is mana, and untapping the bird is mana. Resolved a Goblin Welder through there. That might have been a messy one, but I'll just rip the best card in my deck. It's fine. I am going to play around Web as well as I can. I'm not bluffing anything here. Not holding up Plow. There's no Spell Pierce in the format. F6. Oh, that hurts. The wires are going to start getting tangled. They are attacking for 1 in this environment, where otherwise very little's happening. I've hit a land drop and drew Factor Fiction. That lets me do something in response to the Tangle Wire next upkeep. This survival has to have access to a Uktabi Orangutan somewhere in there. And it would be a mess if this survival package can't deal with Cursed Totem. Survival. 1 card left in hand right now. And 2 Kuvage. Yep. That is also... That checks the box it needs to. Activated abilities can't be activated. I don't think Morph is an activated ability, is it? I don't believe so. All right, I'm going to Factor Fiction right now while I can. This stupid Sky Cloud Expanse is giving me trouble. All right, figured it out. Factor Fiction. All right, Plains and Plow are in the stack. If my opponent and separate, they're going to have to separate them actually. Yeah, they put the Plains and the Humility together too, though. All right, I'm going to choose pile 1 with the Plains and the Humility. Goodbye, Swords to Plowshares. I miss you already. Here's the Plains and pass my turn. Hope I'm not dead. I can play Humility on this board right now through the Tangle Wire, though not if they blow up the Cursed Totem on their turn. Okay, yeah, Morph is a special action. It is not an activated ability. That is what I thought. Okay, they can weld stuff from their graveyard, the Tangle Wire, into graveyard stuff, and they do have 3 mana now to spin this survival. I think I'm going to be a turn late, or 1, 2. No, I can stick the... If I get a turn here, I can stick the Humility, because I do have a land drop. Triskelion, found out of the deck. All right, yeah, that one is pretty nice. Triskelion flipped into... And getting Anger here would be pretty good. All right, Aquarian Ranger. Oh, that's cool. I see where this deck's going. Aquarian Ranger can flip Tangle Wire into Triskelion, hit me for 3, then untap Goblin Welder, flip it back into Tangle Wire, and then it's going to be really hard to get out of this. Cool, cool, cool. Yep, there it is. That's going to be very difficult to outmaneuver. I guess what I do here is Impulse in the upkeep, looking for Swords to Plowshares. If I can deal with the Welder, we have a chance. Ugh. I mean, Wrath of God, that costs the same as Humility does, doesn't really help me here. I guess I'll take an island. My opponent doesn't need to cast spells anymore. And all my stuff's tapped. Okay, we're basically dead here. This is what games of Magic look like when Survival of the Fittest resolves on turn 2 and then just stays there forever. Oh, nice. Another Tangle Wire. I'm extremely tangled. My wires are all over the place. They tapped all their green mana to play that. But with Bird and Quirion Ranger, they can still do a lot of survivaling this turn. Yeah, there's the Anger. Now it's extra damage every time they do the Triskelion thing. Welder happened, untap the Welder, survival away the Anger. This gives Triskelion haste. Now this is 7 damage per turn instead of 3. Backup Welder. Oh, is this... This is not infinite damage, because the Welders have to untap somehow, but it's a lot of welding. And Swords to Plowshare is not good enough anymore. Alright. GG. Yeah, very cool. Held the walls back for a little while, but survival just... this is not a card that can be overcome by playing normal Magic. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I am on the play in round 3. I'll keep. I've got some lands. The Banger Humility is here in my opener. We'll see if it's a matchup where that card's good. An Island. A Mox Diamond. It's going Rith's Grove. Sylvan Library. Jeez. Alright. Yeah, that was a good turn. I thought on the play I would be in good shape, but no. I am in bad shape. Alright, here they go for the hand refill. Managing the life total is kind of interesting here because I don't have creatures. You can be pretty aggressive with your life total, but if you go to like 4 or 2, I could just chip shot you with an end-step Cycle Decree or an animated land. And then what? Meddling Mage. Alright, I'm going to leak this. That might be naming Swords to Plowshares, which would make my life very hard. Ooh, missed on mana after doing all that. Okay. It would be pretty funny if we have these fights over Meddling Mages, they name Swords to Plowshares, and I just play Humility. And the creatures they were trying to protect don't matter anymore, and also Meddling Mage doesn't work. Okay, I've got to take my land here. 2 mana leaks and a Wrath to the bottom. Alright, I like my setup. They do get to look at fresh cards. That Flooded Strand Shuffle, the full Legacy Brainstorm experience unlocked. I wonder if this is the blue-white Psychotog deck. I know that's out there. I'm aware of its existence in theory. I have not played with it. I think I played against it once in like 10 videos or something. There's also Dreadnought decks that have the same kind of shell. And the main deck Meddling Mage seems tailor-made to turn off removal. Another one of these. Alright, this resolves. Because my plan is to Factor Fiction, then set up Humility. And if they name a card that's not Swords to Plowshares, I'll just plow it. Counterspell, okay. End step, Factor Fiction. EOTFOFYL. I like that Seal of Cleansing. Let's see what it ends up in a pile with. I'll probably take the 3 pile almost no matter what it is here. Just because this is such a median experience. But I hope the 3 pile is exciting to me. Ooh, the white card pile. Alright, I will choose the 3 pile as promised. Because I have the plow anyway. And I'm going to pass the turn. See what we're fighting over. Sylvan Library still cooking. Flooded Strand. Next library looks at all new cards again. Lightning Angel. Hell yeah. Okay. I could plow that, or I could plow the Meddling Mage and counterspell that. I think I want to plow the Meddling Mage. Because if they fight back, Humility answers all this stuff. Counterspell. Alright, pretty sweet, pretty sweet. I'm going to Impulse in the end step and probably just shove Humility. Mana Lake Powder Keg lands. It's not sexy, but I think taking the land and protecting Humility with Counterspell is the way to go. They are clearly a deck with creatures, and here I am with my Morphling Humility anti-technology. I just can't get out of my own way with this Morphling. Every time I draw it, it either is a 3/3 with no abilities or a 1 with no abilities. Okay, let's see what this 3-color creature deck can do against a humility. In 15 hits from a 1/1, I still lose. It's not like the creatures are nothing. Armageddon. No thanks. Yeah, that's going to be a no from me, dog. Okay, now knowing they're a Geddon deck, do I want to even play out this Mishra's Factory? I guess I still do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. I have enough mana that I could Factor Fiction into another counterspell if I need to and start bonking this graveyard. They might have some threshold stuff in their list. That's 2 counterspells and a mana leak spent. Playing out your land to get your Armageddon through mana leak is pretty awkward. Okay, that's a 1/1. I'm going to Factor Fiction in the end step. Standstill, Wrath of God, bunch of lands. I'd be into that Standstill. All right, I'll take the 3 pile again. And is it time to Phyrexian Furnace the Call of the Herd? I don't think so. If they want to break my Standstill doing that, power to you. Impulse. Get my spells in while I still can. Decree of Justice counterspell. I really want Decree of Justice, but I think counterspell, just to make sure I don't get got by a random Armageddon here, is pretty serious business. A Mishra's Factory, because of timestamps, will be a 2/2 with no abilities if I animate it. That's how this works. Sweet. Okay. Armageddon. All right, what do I do here? Hibernation wipes out any number of elephants as well as Sylvan Library. Doesn't seem that important. I'm main decking all of my disenchants. I got 3 of them there. Is it possible this is just a no sideboard game on situation? I could bring in Meddling Mage and name Armageddon. I think one of the Morphlings is going to go. Sorry, Morphling. And Phyrexian Furnace is not a 0. They have at least Call of the Herd, and they might have some amount of Threshold or Terravore kind of activity. I think I'm pretty good against creatures anyway. All right, Phyrexian Furnace is out. I don't expect Genesis or Squee out of this deck. I'm going to go Meddling Mages and otherwise keep it tight. All right, I will keep this hand, and I hope to draw a bunch of lands in a row. Opponent mulled to 6. That makes Mox Diamond a little worse, but if you have turn 1 Sylvan Library, you can recoup that. Windswept Teeth, Basic Plains, Mox Diamond, Invasion Plains, good call. That's a nice one. All right, Meddling Mage resolves on turn 1. You did it. Name Swords to Plowshares. But that's the card in my hand. This is an outrage. I would love to cook this Mox Diamond if they don't really develop here. If they play Sylvan Library, I'll blow that up instead. Ooh, Treva's Ruin. Gotta pick up that Plains. I'm gonna wipe the diamond. I just want to make their mana bad if I can, because their deck is clearly full of bad mana. Meddling Mage Beatdown continues, and they passed into my mana leaks. I'm going to sandbag this Dust Bowl. If I can blow up Treva's Ruin with that next turn, holy moly, that's nice. Though I might just want to play my own Meddling Mage. Ooh, okay, Swords to Plowshares on Bird. Yeah, we've got a new plan. Oh, right, I can't play that card. Right, that's the card that's locked down. It's not this one. It's all of the copies. Right. I'm back. I'm back on Earth now. I'm actually going to hold up double Mana Leak and just Factor Fiction if they don't play spells. Anything else would be getting aggressive for no reason. They found a land. And step Fact or Fiction. Disenchant and a shitload of lands. I'm taking the bigger pile no matter what here. It doesn't matter what they are. Yeah, here we go. 3 lands to my hand. Impulse has arrived. I'm going to go Meddling Mage, name Armageddon. This also stops the beats, because if they want to trade mages, that turns on my handful of Swords to Plowshares. Per scroll. Ew. Do I mana leak that? They got 3 cards in hand. I'll roll the dice. Mox Diamond. All right, they got 1 card in hand. My Meddling Mage is dead. Well played. We are about to find out what their 1 card in hand is as well. If Mana Leak would have countered that, I would have done it, but it would have just tapped them out for the turn. And then Curse Scroll kicks in the next turn. Right, Impulse. I go to 9. Seal of Cleansing. All right. Right on time. Decree of Justice. I like that as well. Seal. I'm going to roast this Curse Scroll while I can. And pass. And then hopefully Decree of Justice kills Meddling Mage next turn. And after that, we're chilling. I'm at 7. Just from Meddling Mage beats. Coast to coast. It's cool that they're playing around Wrath of God by sandbagging this Birds of Paradise, but by doing that, they're playing into my mana leaks. Okay, here we go. Time to punish. And I think what I actually want to do is make exactly 2 to block with, because then I can still have mana leak up in case they second main Armageddon. All right, bang. Big moves. End step impulse. I feel like the corner just turned. Another decree or a factory. What do I want here? I guess it's decree. Can I completely collapse their shit? Plow the bird, Dust Bowl the Treva's Ruin, leave up mana leak. I'd also just pass with a handful of interaction and Decree of Justice and start bashing them. That sounds pretty good. They're still chilling over there. I'm going to make 4 bros. Now the pressure's on for real. Morphling, and it's on! Oh my god. Another Meddling Mage. What card am I worried about out of their deck? And I guess I'll just name Armageddon again. Or should I name Call of the Herd? Yeah, I'm going to name Call of the Herd. That actually does stabilize the board in a way that I'm not excited to use my counterspells on. They've really just done nothing for 4 turns, which is really strange. Not even played out that bird that we know about. What are they holding on to? What's the fight? Are they trying to set up like a big thing with Pyroblast off of one of these guys? All right, they're just tapping out. Okay, yeah, they flash the hand. 2 birds, 2 gemstone mines, Mox Diamond. Yep, that's a pretty tough flood out. On to the next round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/TheResleevables.
I am on the draw in round 4. This has significantly fewer lands than I want, but I am going to keep. Swords of Plowshare's Mana Leak Counterspell. That's a lot of early interaction for the mana that I do have. Llanowar Elves. I did not draw the plains to just pop it off, so Coastal Tower. Here we go. Another Llanowar Elves. Vindhorn Elves. I think we're playing against an elf deck, an elf strategy. They're definitely on 1 land. Multani's Acolyte, when this enters, draw a card. Yeah, I mean, if they rip Gaia's Cradle here, I accept eating shit on that. All right, I don't accept eating shit on this. I'm going to Mana Leak this Wirewood Symbiote, because that with Multani's Acolyte, that's a draw engine and a mana engine, and I'm trying to stop them from doing any such thing. All right, now they're on the hook for an Echo. If I can get to this Humility, that's pretty nice, but they do have 5 1/1s in play, and that's a lot of damage for me to overcome. I think what I'm going to do is plow the Acolyte this turn, and then... Or I can take 2. Yeah, I'll just take 2 now. See what happens for the rest of the turn. I don't want to tap out a counterspell over 2 damage, but my plan here for the most part is to Impulse and then see what's going on. Okay, end step Impulse. Land number 4, including the second white. I like that. I'll take that. Put those to the bottom. I guess I should Swords to Plowshare something here. And it's probably one of the Llanowar Elves. I'm just kind of counting permanence right now. Decree of Justice. That is more permanence for me in the future. So I've got the Mishra's Factory that can be 2/2. I suspect their deck will do very little except attack with the onboard creatures from here. Lands are great if I can Decree of Justice for more than 1 and kill 2 things. Oh god, Standstill. Who does that benefit? Okay, so I block with Factory. I go to 9. I block with Factory, I go to 6. I block with Factory. All right, I'm good. I can rip off the Standstill here. We're doing it all. A mountain. All right, they found their second land, but it's the splash land. That also very likely reveals to me that my opponent is playing survival elves, because that's what Forest is for. It's for the card Anger. Land's just my best draws here. Happy to have them. All right, my opponent's got to figure this out. I'm going to cycle Justice this turn, because that kills 2 of their creatures instead of 1, and also draws me a card. It just stabilizes faster and turns the corner. They've had enough. The humility from the top rope game 1. All right, got some elves. Survival elves, very likely. Powder Keg, I like. Hibernation, I like. Do I like Meddling Mage? What do I even name? Curse Totem, obviously. With Humility and Curse Totem being 2 of my best cards in the matchup, sorry, Morphling, it's you again, buddy. Like, if Meddling Mage comes down before a Survival does, naming Survival and then just having a 2/2 that's bigger than a lot of their stuff's pretty nice. Meddling Mage could name Multani's Acolyte and break up a Wirewood Symbiote loop. I need my Disenchants to answer resolved Humilities, or resolved Survivals. I'm the one with Humilities. The one of Phyrexian Furnace, they probably have Squee, they might have Genesis, but is attacking their graveyard how I'm winning this game? I don't think so. Okay, that's the must-haves. What am I doing about these Meddling Mages? Are they coming in? I don't think they are. I'm going to keep it light. Mana Leak on the draw actually kind of stinks, but I love having 4 mana, especially with double white already involved. Most of the best things I'm going to do in this matchup cost white 2. Opponent mull to 6. Llanowar Elf. Alright, Counterspell gives me some options, depending on how far I am behind after this turn. It's not a 1-lander this time. It's a 2-elfer. Well, there we go. Now that I have a whole plan, I have to counterspell anything that would beat Wrath of God, and then I can Wrath of God everything else. Priest of Titania is actually fine, because there's 2 cards in hand and I'm holding Counterspell. I just need to get around the corner into the Wrath of God turn. End step, Impulse. Another Wrath. Do I want to bank that, or do I want to have the Standstill ready for right after the first Wrath? I think just having the second Wrath. I play 2 of these, and having both of them in my hand this early in the game just really defines what I have to worry about forever. Mishra's Factory. Gaia's Cradle. Watch out. Priest of Titania plus... Oh. What's the game here? If they resolve Survival, I hate that for me. But if I can kill this Priest of Titania for free, that's really nice. Alright, whatever. It happens. I'm not tapping out a Counterspell this turn. They did a good job making that look appealing. Yavimaya Granger. When this enters, search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped. I don't care. Alright, here we are. Slam Wrath of God. And they have 1 card in hand. If it's Survival of the Fittest, I have some concerns. If it's not Survival, most of their other cards I can just crush. Quirion Ranger, don't care. Alright, nice. And I drew Standstill, get out of here. Alright, the newly controlled Mishra's Factory is getting tapped. Alright, Standstill. Now if they cast a spell, I draw 3, and I have 2 creatures that are bigger than their creatures in play. Alright, we're chilling. I'm looking for land drops and decrees. Not doing anything else. I could attack with one of these factories. I'm being a wuss. Though I think that's okay. Seal of Cleansing. Alright. Let's start the beats. I wish I had 1 more land in play. That's probably actually the right way to do this. Ooh, here we go. That's actually tight as hell. End step making me do this. I am going to counterspell. Don't want to lose a land, and I'm going to have to discard a bunch of cards anyway. I think I'm going to discard a mana leak to hand size, or 2 mana leaks to hand size. Opponent's got a bunch of mana here. Yeah, that was a pretty good spot to break a Standstill. Yuck, look at you. Alright, what's in the hand? Can the Seal of Cleansing stabilize? And this play was only really possible because I got aggressive with that attack for 1. Because the patience required to play this deck well is just incredible. Alright, Seal of Cleansing. Deal with the survival. Make you commit whatever it is you're going to do here. And the answer to that is nothing. And alright, here we go. Curse Totem. I really like my position here, but that was a sloppy turn. I'm lucky I didn't get punished harder. Alright, can't mana leak to protect that. So my opponent does have a bunch of reactive cards, a bunch of naturalizes when having a bunch of elves probably may have suited them better. Sky Shroud Poacher. I mean, I can just humility that, or I could snag it with the mana leak now. I'm gonna mana leak. Might not get a lot of chances to use this for the rest of the game. I can't counter another naturalize on my humility anyway. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Humility's in. These are my two one-of bangers. Curse Totem and Humility have both shown up. They're passing the turn. I have a million mana Decree of Justice here. That's going to win the game very quickly. Cycle Decree for the max. 5 bros. Another Decree. More bros. Coming in hot. Opponent's at 12. Another 1-1. Another 1-1. End step. Another pile of bros. Yeah, they've had enough. Okay, cool. We're starting to turn it around against these dedicated creature strategies where my bangers are kicking in. On to the final round.
We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here.
On the play in the final round, positive record on the line. I'm going to keep this 2-lander. My opponent's got a 61 card deck. Normally, when I'm playing Legacy, I have suspicions of what that means, but in Premodern, that can mean anything. Just mean they're having a good time out there. Treetop Village. That's a little bit scary, because that means Standstill's not going to be good enough. They have their own creature lands that might be bigger than mine. A Bant strategy, okay. Or a Treva strategy. Oh, we're doing this. Well, you certainly can't have that. I'd love to just draw a land here. Heck yeah. Okay. That lets me hold up Counterspell and Impulse if they don't do anything. Gemstone Mine. That blows up my Humility, but I think I just have to let that sort of thing through. Take this turn to Impulse. Right, Seal of Removal, okay. Alright, so they've banked up some action for a possible Serra Sanctum in the future. No lands here. That's harsh. I guess Standstill is the take, but I'm not happy about any of it. Okay, I did draw a land, which means I'm actually going to cast Standstill. And they can either use their Seal of Cleansing on this, which clears the way for Humility, turning off future Enchantresses or whatever, or they can just have me draw 3 cards and keep that thing. Your call. All right, Standstill immediately capped. Hidden Herd. When opponent plays a non-basic land, this becomes a 3/3 beast. Okay. Saltari Visionary. Yeah, that guy rules. I kind of want to save this Plow for the Treetop Village. I was kind of hoping to draw a non-basic land there. Because I think the way this works is that if I play a non-basic land after I Humility, they have a 3/3. But if I play it before, they have a 1/1. All right, yeah, I'm just going to pass here. This disenchants every time it hits me. Or only enchantments. Okay, not artifacts. Pretty cool. But I don't have any enchantments. Okay, this is what I was saving Plow for. They can use their own Seal of Removal to reset it, I suppose. I'm still going to Plow it. So I have Dust Bowl that could answer that someday. Alright, it's just gone. I'll take it. I'm at 18. Standstill. Well, that's not very good versus Saltari Emissary, but I could set up the Humility first, but then the Hidden Herd is a problem. Yeah, I might just cycle Decree to draw a card this turn. That lets me hold up Counterspell. I'm not that scared of the Visionary by itself. I love that this card is in play and that it's kind of good, though. That's a win-win. This Gemstone Mine's almost out of juice. They do have to be careful how they spend their mana. Silver Knight, 2/2 Pro Red. What are we doing over there? I think I'm going to let you have that. All right, I'm going to make 1 bro in the end step, just trying to do anything here. And the bro is as good as anyone else if I jam Humility. Okay. Now Skycloud Expanse can turn on the Herd, and then I can play Humility, and the Herd will be 1/1 from that sequencing. All right, here you go. All your dreams come true. Humility. Hopefully they have 3 1/1s here, and their cards in hand aren't helpful. Okay, 3 1/1s. And this is the very important turn where if they do stuff before I hold up these counter spells, I could be in trouble. If they remove Humility, I'm actually pretty far behind on board. All right, I'm going to block the Hidden Herd because that's the biggest creature if the Humility were to die. It's clear to me that they didn't have removal for Humility up front, or else the Sultari Visionary would not have stayed home. Pegasus Stampede. Wow, this is what we're doing? All right, you've got a 1/1, which is what you wanted. This is fun. Mana Leak, pretty decent. And I'm playing Standstill here. I can tap better. Here we go. Standstill. Online. I can animate Factory. It's the 2/2. They could bounce it with Seal of Removal. Then I can replay it as my land next turn. They can get in for 3, but that's not winning the race long term. And if they want to make a Pegasus in exchange for giving me 3 cards, I accept that all day. And no attacks, cool. All right, turtle up. Land drops are good, decrees are good. Standstills are not good. Their opponent doing nothing with their entire turn cycle again. I've got land drops. How about you? I've got land drops. Yes, I do. I'm not in a spot where I would feel good dust bowling their random lands. If they come up with a treetop village, I'll probably just pick that off, but I'm not in a hurry to interact like that. I don't think I'm going to be mana screwing them. And if they come up with a Wasteland, Rashadan Port, or Dust Bowl of their own, I'm very soon in trouble. Like, that's an immediate problem for me. Let's just hope that doesn't happen. All right, you have Drago all around. Very Conclave. All right, there's a backup. It's not as good as Factory, but it is another thing. I could actually start using that to push damage even. All right, they found a Plains. Another island. How pushy do I want to get here? Do I want to invite this damage race? Not yet. Oh, this won't fly. Or, yeah, it will. It should have all the... Like, everything should be timestamp. Another Conclave. All right. I'll just hit that and pass. This is my favorite Magic, by the way. Just nothing going on, but I'm winning. Okay, they thought it for a little bit that time, but still just continued to pass the turn without doing anything. Mana Leak. I'm going to pass again. We're probably about at the point where they might want to end step break my Standstill, which means I don't want to tie up mana on this particular turn, attacking with Fairy Conclave, in case I end up with a bunch more stuff I want to do. There was a long pause in my end step, but they ended up not doing anything. 8 cards in hand now. They're going to have to start deciding if we're going to discard or breaking the Standstill. Clean up step. Discarded Worldly Tutor. All right, keep hitting land drops, then I will keep being patient. I got 2 more Decrees in my deck, 3 more Factories. Decree puts my opponent into immediate crisis mode. Another pause in my end step, but then nothing happened. And they're going to clean up again. Swords to Plowshares discarded. Mishra's Factory, there's one of my best draws. Opponent's still chilling, going to discard again. I'm now a mill deck. I'll keep drawing lands, I'll keep playing them. There are 6 basics, or there's 8 basics in my deck, right? 8 basics in my deck, which means these Flooded Strands are still pretty good for a long time. Another cleanup step. Swords to Plowshares again. Oh, my Morphling. There we go. I am going to go to cleanup this time, and I think I have too many mana leaks in my hand. Though if they wanted to wait until I had 8 cards in hand, that would be another good time to break Standstill. I might attack this turn, see what I draw. Fact or fiction? Okay. I'm actually going to fetch a Plains so I can leave up a shitload of blue. Probably could have just tapped Dust Bowl, but I'm out here having the time of my life. 2/1 flying. Let's make something happen. All right, the third Swords to Plowshares. I draw 3. Do I care about this getting removed? And I'm probably just going to counterspell then play another Standstill, right? All right, counterspell. I've dealt 2 damage successfully. Do I want to cast any other spells before I play the Standstill? I could just plow off this Visionary. I think what I want to do here is plow a Visionary. That is the creature I'm most worried about unlocking one day. Standstill number 2. I'm back down to 7 cards in hand. They could Seal of Removal my Fairy Conclave, which makes me discard and gets me out of cycle for a turn. Probably should have developed a Seal of Cleansing while the shield was down. I think I'm just too worried about leaving up my factories. Like, I could take damage, or I could let a spell resolve. Finding the balance between patience and doing stuff while you can is an interesting part of playing this deck. One's got a Centaur Garden. +3/+3. Nice. I mean, you could win a combat with that. All right, another factory. I think I like the Attack with Fairy Conclave universe that I've found myself in here. Doing it last turn made my opponent panic into breaking my Standstill, and if we can keep playing that game, I'm interested in it. Factory number 3 arrives. Okay, they just didn't have anything. Nothing on an entire turn cycle again. I am now committed to the Fairy Conclave beats. I think I'll be discarding Morphling to hand size here. I'll offer more feedback on that in the debrief at the end. Okay, we've got a Plow. I don't have another Standstill. All right, I have enough creatures at this point that this is not worth a counterspell to me. I'll offer more feedback on Morphling at the end, but I think that the fact that you're playing like Wrath of God, Humility, these heavy anti-creature cards, that's pretty rough to try to play a creature in your deck, even though Morphling is dope as hell. Objectively dope as hell. Seal of Cleansing goes in. I'll fetch another Plains. Just trying to leave up blue where I can. There's a Furnace. I don't know if that matters, but it's a card I don't have to discard. And then I will clean up Morphling. Opponent's allowed to cast spells now for basically the first time in 13, 14 turns. It's been a long time. A Pagusis is attacking. It doesn't fly. All right, a 2/2 is attacking. It doesn't have first strike. All right, I will wake up an Assembly Worker and try to block. There is the Centaur Garden. I don't think I care. My Dust Bowl is tapped. That was actually really sloppy. Okay. That happened. Now what? Okay, we were just goofing. Fair enough. I appreciate a little goofing. Activate Conclave. I think I can afford to cast Morphling here, and that is kind of funny, but also it's just wrong. So, like, as much as I would love to give Morphling a chance to be in play in this video, it just doesn't work with Humility. It's so bad it loses to a Pegasus. We can't do that. Humility's been a banger, though. Great call on that one. Femrith Enchantress. Whenever enchantment is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. All right, so another 1/1. Deal. All right, so they got Enchantresses coming and going here. Rancor. That makes it a 3/1 trample. That's pretty big. I mean, I'm not countering it. Okay. You have a 3/1 trample. Treva's Ruins. Probably picking up this Gemstone Mine that has 1 counter left on it. Yep. I think it's about time to get this show on the road. I'm going to Factor Fiction and try to find a Decree. That likely means I end up discarding a bunch of cards. Oh, okay. Op wants to Rumble. Sure. I will put a factory in front of this. I wonder what's happening here. Like, are they they can't be an Oath deck, right? Like, I'm trying to figure out why they would just put creatures directly into their graveyard 2 turns in a row. All right, they are using the Garden, which means I'm going to Dust Bowl, target Treva's Ruins, sacrificing this factory that's about to die anyway. You've got a 4/4, a blocked 4/4. Seen a lot of the layers in this league particularly, and they used to be so stingy about mana fixing, especially in a multicolor block. What are you doing here, Plane Shift? Pegasus Stampede, yeah. All right, buying that back, dumping your lands. I'm sitting on a boatload of Wrath of Gods here. You can have as many Pegasus as you want. Winter Orb. Hell nah. I mean, resolves, but it's not going to be around very long. My opponent knows that there's a face-up Seal of Cleansing, but there's also a face-down Disenchant. And I want to use cards from my hand, because if I ever Factor Fiction, I'd prefer not to have to discard all those cards that I pick up. This looks like a good turn to Wrath of God. My opponent has 3 creatures. One of them is carrying a Rancor that I actually do care about. All right, they're scooping it up to that. That was a fun game. Satisfying Magic. Ooh, they revealed their hand. That might have been by accident, because the concede button is near the hand button. Anorad Brushhopper. That's kind of scary. Lightning Angel. Okay, so there's some kind of 4-color creature stuff. Presumably Mox Diamonds in this deck to tie it all together. Is this just another Armageddon, like 4-color Armageddon thing like we played around last round? I guess that's possible. What a weird spread of creatures, too. The Soltari Emissary, the Silver Knight, that makes me feel like they have survival, because why do they have just all these weird one-of creatures? Or is this just actually some mid-range zoo deck with a smattering of whatever the hell, just in case, with no way to find them? And Eladamri's Call is legal in this format, though I've never seen anyone play it. I almost feel like I'm completely main decked for this situation. And Hibernation has text. Meddling Mage always has text because your opponent's deck has cards in it. Exalted Angel, I could just have a bigger thing than their stuff. Phyrexian Furnace, I mean, that could clip a Rancor at minimum, I guess. I don't think I'm that worried about that, though. Powder Keg's kind of weird because it misses the enchantments, but it does get the Enchantress, who I care a lot about. Yeah, Hibernation actually looks good enough. I think Phyrexian Furnace goes. I think one of the Morphlings goes, and I'll get one Meddling Mage in here. Yeah, all right. It's right to board out the other Morphling too, but I want to give it a chance. I have twice as many Morphlings as I have Humilities, yet I seem to always have Humility in play when I draw Morphling. I'm also 4 minutes ahead on my clock after that game. Just ahead on every metric. Up a game, up 4 minutes on the clock. We're doing it all. All right, keep. Land drops and the ability to interact. That's what I want. I can even interact with a turn 2 Argothian Enchantress because I can bounce it at the end of turn 3 and then I'm holding up Counterspell on the way back down. When I'm to 5. The Herd. Well, that gets bounced by Hibernation. Does this change color when it wakes up? No, it just changes card type. Planes go. I can even play this Flooded Strand as my 3rd land, which means the Herd turns on the same turn that Hibernation kicks in. Gibbons. When I cast an instant, the Gibbons become a 4/4. Hell yeah. I've played this card in Legacy. Not gonna lie. It's just bigger than Nimble Mongoose. And Rug Delver can't play the game without playing instants. At least that was true 13 years ago. I don't know what's going on anymore. They pass the turn. Unfortunately, Hibernation doesn't answer these things for very long. End step Enlightened Tutor. All right, we're gaming. What are we enlightening, tutoring for? Seal of Cleansing. What's that for? Are we just worried about humility again? Just getting super proactive? Yeah, that resolves. Drawing a basic would let me play on. Okay, I mean, the Seal of Cleansing now getting paid. Good job. I'm going to play Flooded Strand, which will wake up the Herd. All right, yeah, I'll play Strand, which wakes up the Herd. And if I plow that, it wakes up the Gibbons. They got me in the hard lock. I take 3. If I end step Impulse, that wakes up the Gibbons, but I'm planning on hibernating soon anyway. All right, Impulse. Wrath of God. All right, never mind. New plan. I will put that card in my hand and the rest on the bottom in any order. And then Wrath. Hope that Mana Leak isn't one of their 2 cards in hand. And then next turn I can Seal of Cleansing their Seal of Cleansing and stick Standstill. And then we're chilling. This Gemstone Mine betraying them. Oh, okay. New plan. I'm going to do that first. My opponent seems to be in a very poor spot. Birds of Paradise. Yeah, I have Swords to Plowshares for that one. Fact or Fiction. Both of those lands come in tapped. That stinks. All right, I'm going to take the pile with 2 lands in it. They were smart to play around the Seal of Cleansing, but I already have one. Okay, Fairy Conclave, Swords to Plowshares, and Seal of Cleansing. This keeps me from having to discard at all. Undiscovered Paradise. Wow, my opponent really hates having lands in play. I wonder if this is like a balancing act deck. Anrid Brushhopper. I mean, slid that one right in under my Mana Leak. They know I have Humility. They don't know I can. Or, yeah, the Seal of Cleansing's face up. Okay. All right, you've got a 1/1. Hopefully next turn I have a lot of 1/1s and a Standstill. Winter Orb. All right. Got my ass a little bit there. Winter Orb versus Humility. Who would win? I'll untap Addercar Waste. Hit a land drop. All right, now I don't even have to do anything. Okay, so they untap the forest and bounce the Undiscovered Paradise. That's the hack here. All right, do they have a trick? I'm just going to block. What could go wrong here? Like, I'll just Swords to Plowshares if they have a pump spell or something. And I guess they could naturalize the Humility. All right, plow that, sure. All right, that's fine. I think I'm still more interested in holding up Mana Leak than I am in plowing that creature. Oh, easy game. All right. Now we break free and take over. Rush Hopper beats. And please don't Mana Leak me. End step disenchant. We're out of there. Okay, sick. The corner's been turned. I no longer fear anything. Swords to Plowshares, your jerk. Standstill, holding up 2 counter spells, go. It's over. An opponent agrees. Cool. That was really fun. A positive record with blue-white Standstill. Threading the needle on when to be patient and when to actually get the game moving in a direction where you're winning it is the main skill of this deck. I think strategically, this deck is very easy. And I feel this way about all hard control decks, even up to like present day Legacy Beanstalk or whatever. Strategically, it's very easy. Your opponent will do something and you follow the flowchart of, does this kill me? If yes, can I answer it? If yes, which card in my hand is the best answer for it? And then you follow that flowchart until you run out of answers or they run out of threats, and then somebody wins. That's the strategy of playing a deck like this versus all decks. But tactically, understanding, does this kill me? And then like following that flowchart, that's a tactical decision. Do I need to worry about this thing or can I let it stick? And then the tactical decision of, should I counterspell this? Should I try to plow it once it's in play? Should I double Mana Leak or something? Like if your hand is double Mana Leak plus counterspell, but your opponent is out of Mana Leak range, like is using 2 Mana Leaks on this spell now to free up the counterspell later, good. And there are these tactical decisions that matter. But if you understand what you need to do strategically, you can inform your tactics. That's all very satisfying to me, and I love playing Magic like that. As far as the list itself, Brad, sorry, man. The Morphlings are not good. It's fun to see them in a deck, but the point of this deck is that it's brutal on creatures. Wrath of Gods, Humilities, out of the sideboard, we've got Curse Totem. You're trying to lock the board down, and Morphling just doesn't get around any of your own symmetrical creature hate. Some of the other Morphlings, like Aetherling, can flicker out of play, which is at least counterplay with Wrath of God, or synergy with Wrath of God. I think Brightling, is that the white one? I think that one can bounce to your hand. That's synergy with Wrath of God. But I mean, we're playing Premodern. We don't have any of the other lings. It's only Morphling. And this one is just not doing what we want. Hate to say it. But despite having 2 Morphlings in the deck taking up space, still positive record. The 2 losses were 2 ones that were competitive. And I had a lot of fun doing this. Brad, thanks for sending it in. Everyone, thanks for watching. Check out the Through the Decades Modern Grand Prix, PRE, 5K. Link in the video description. Go attend that event. It's going to be dope. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out of here.